Before we start, just a little disclaimer. As I said in an earlier video, I really enjoyed the first season of Gilmore Girls. However, there were a few issues on my initial watch which made me less interested in revisiting this particular season from episode 4 onwards. Usually when I marathon Gilmore Girls, I start with season 2 instead. I recently decided to give this season another chance, and those issues, which I'll discuss when they come up in the series, weren't actually as bad as I remembered. I just wanted to bring this up because going forward for the rest of the season, I won't be as familiar with the episodes. Just something to bear in mind. Now, let's begin. After having the previous episode off, we see Rory is still struggling with adjusting to life at Chilton and trying to cope with this difficult workload that comes from a private school. This is heavily demonstrated with Rory receiving a pretty poor grade on a test. While she excelled in public school, Rory can make mistakes and isn't a perfect student. It's a very humbling moment for her. This failed test introduces us to Max Medina, played by Scott Cohen, Rory's English teacher and one of the nicer residents of Chilton. Given how difficult it is to receive poor grades, I'm sure he's going to let her down with absolute subtlety as to not embarrass her.
Take these home. Learn from your mistakes.
Oh, for crying out loud, Medina. Have you never heard of a little "see me" written in the corner of the paper, for goodness sake? Before you all begin to get worried that the show focuses on actual schoolwork and not the traditional teen drama tropes, don't worry, we still get them. Paris still hates Rory, reveling in her failure.
You know, I got a B. A B's not bad.
No, not at all.
Respectable even. A D, however, that would be cause for concern.
Cry for help.
Job application at McDonald's.
And Tristan's still a prick.
Wait, you have a boyfriend?
Is there no one else at the school you can bother?
I think you'd like me. You just don't know how to say it.
However, given a major part of Gilmore Girls is Rory's intelligence and passion for learning, it's good to see that her study is given focus in the narrative, even though it might not be as interesting or funny for some people. This is challenged even further by the announcement of a significant test, forcing Rory to try and get her act together. This episode marks the first for the series. Up until this point, we've just focused on Lorelai and Rory, with the rest of the cast taking a secondary reactive role. Here marks the first occasion where a secondary character receives their own plotline. In this case, Sookie falling into a very depressive state, following a very mediocre review of her cooking. And by very mediocre, I mean the reviewer was incredibly positive aside from one particular detail. How important exactly is this subplot? Well, when this paragraph is over, I probably won't mention it again until the recap. Its main goal is to parallel Rory's plot, coming to terms with a poor result, and going to extreme methods to try and resolve it. Though in Sookie's case, it's more played for laughs and shows off her key character trait, being a perfectionist and protective of her passion as a chef.
He said my risotto was fine. Well, isn't it? Fine is a word you use when someone stops you on the street that you sort of know, but you don't want to talk to.
Plus, it establishes that the rest of the cast are well written enough to have their own independent storylines and have the potential to grow and are definitely more than just exposition and comic relief characters. Back to the main plot. With her parents taking this episode off, Lorelai luckily doesn't have much drama to deal with, being more upbeat and comedic this time round.
What is going on here? We are young and fiery women. Where's to hell with it all? Where's throwing caution to the wind? Oh shoot, the linen delivery.
We see more of her relationship with Rory and show off their best friend and sisterly dynamic during their downtime.
Mom, I'm studying.
Yeah, but I'm talking ice cream. Can't you take a break?
I can't take a break right now.
When?
Are you 4?
No, I'm hungry.
Along with some role reversal gags.
Lorelai, go to your room.
Wow, smart girls are mean.
Let me study now. I'll play with you this weekend.
Promise?
Yes, we can do anything you want.
So, I'm sorry. Where did we land on the whole ice cream issue?
Determined not to disappoint her, Rory chooses not to divulge her grade, leaving Lorelai oblivious to the seriousness of this situation, hence why she's being very carefree and jokey. This changes when Lorelai has to attend a teacher-parent meeting with Max Medina. It doesn't start off great, showing how even Lorelai is also out of place in this world, being in conflict with the other Chilton parents.
It's a test.
Yeah, I know.
What's exciting about a test?
Do you play golf?
Yes, I do.
You explain yours, I'll explain mine.
Once the meeting is over, though, she's able to have a one-to-one conversation with Max.
Hey, are you this nice to my kid?
Yeah, it's easy. Rory's a sweet girl.
We see Lorelai's pride in her daughter and how much she hopes Rory gets into Harvard.
Ever since she could crawl, I really wanted her to go there.
Maybe a little too much. We'll have to come back to that. There's a hint of chemistry between Lorelai and Max. However, this has to be put on hold for the time being, as Lorelai is finally made aware of Rory failing the paper.
She's never gotten a D.
It's the first paper she's had to turn in. She's bound to falter a little.
Oh man, this totally explains the no ice cream thing. God, I'm such an idiot.
Having to switch back into parent mode. While her focus is on Rory at this moment in time and her education, the bond she had started to grow with Max certainly isn't forgotten. Rory and Lorelai soon meet up and discuss this revelation and what they need to do going forward.
Why did you let me whine about ice cream and shoe sales when you had something major going on?
It was too humiliating.
Oh, honey, you once told me that you loved Saved by the Bell. What could be more humiliating than that?
Do you really think I can do this?
I bet you. $1.
That's it? That's all my future is worth, $1.
Well, you did get a D.
Desperate to make sure this upcoming test isn't a failure, Rory goes into extreme study mode. However, when she meets up with her friend Lane, she begins to miss her old school and how much more confident she felt with her work there. What's more, we get a little update on Dean from the first episode.
Sky asked about you today.
What guy?
The new kid. Tall. Perfect.
I told him you were just too smart for us and that you had to go to the genius school. Oh. He really liked that. I guess he's into brainy chicks.
With all the stress that this shift to Chilton has caused her, Rory is seriously contemplating quitting. The final night before the test, Lorelai and Rory are up all night preparing.
I was off by 75 years.
Well, anything under 100 is close.
Lorelai clearly taking it completely seriously, as you can see,
96? Okay, that's getting really annoying now.
until eventually Rory passes out from exhaustion. The morning arrives and, oh, their poor spines. Back pain aside, Rory is shocked to learn she slept in and races to school as quickly as possible.
Jeez. Such a bad sleeping idea.
On the way there, she becomes a bit too focused on cramming in further study while driving, stopping to call Elaine about some notes, and I've just wondered, why is this episode called The Dip?
Oh my God!
Are you alright?
I just got hit by a deer.
You hit a deer?
No, I got hit by a deer.
How do you get hit by a deer?
That poor animal will have to wait though. But it all turns out well for Rory as she doesn't make it in time. And can't take the test. Well, smeg. The combination of homesickness, study stress, her out-of-place spine, and the fact that it was all for nothing finally gets Rory to snap, having a massive embarrassing breakdown in front of everyone, which I will thankfully spare you from. To make a long story short, her outburst leads to Lorelai being called in. She does her best to defend her daughter and pleading with Headmaster Charleston to give her a second chance to take the test.
Rory told me that she wasn't allowed to take her test.
She was late.
I think if you checked your
Her
records...
past performance has nothing to do with today's situation.
But because of the ridiculously flawed rules of the education system, that ain't happening, leading to Lorelai having her own embarrassing outburst.
Have a nice day.
Are you holding that door open for a reason?
Our meeting is over.
Like hell it is. And you say she's smart and she'll do fine. And this rotting, stodgy rat hole could use somebody like her.
I didn't call this place a rat hole.
Oh no, that's true. I added that. Wouldn't want you to get in trouble with Il Duce here.
The two Gilmores leave defeated, stopping on the way home to try and find that deer to see if it's okay.
So what does the deer look like? Huh? Does he have any distinguishing marks? Besides the word Jeep imprinted on his forehead?
This gives them the opportunity to better discuss the situation and if it would be wiser for Rory to go back to Stars Hollow.
16. You should get some sleep and eat a real meal and come up for air once in a while.
Are you saying I should quit?
I'm saying if you wanted to go back to your other school with Lane, that would be fine with me.
Lorelai even suggests that the dream to go to Harvard might have been something that she forced on Rory.
Did it start with me or did it start with you? I mean, was it my dream that you went to Harvard?
Rory decides to give Chilton another chance, which is fortunate. In the long run, it does turn out well for her. Luckily, things didn't turn out too bad for Rory, as when they return home, Max calls them up to let them know that he's managed to negotiate an alternative method for Rory to earn those grades back. So, at least he still has good faith in her. And so ends The Deer Hunters. This was a pretty good episode, though I will say there are a few issues I have. Mostly because of my own experience with school. Charleston's indifference and arrogance is really close to home and really reminds me of some of the teachers I had to deal with. I cannot wait for the episode where Rory finally gets to confront him. Sookie's plotline contrasts well with Rory's by being more played for laughs, though it did get a little over the top towards the end as her obsession grew. A major positive is the establishment of the character Max Medina as Rory's caring teacher and eventually Lorelai's love interest. It's definitely a better method of approaching a relationship compared to the one that the random Chilton dad tried to start in episode 2. Here they have the chance to get to know each other first and meet on several occasions in order to allow the chemistry to actually grow. Thank you for watching. Remember, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and hit the notifications bell to stay up to date with the content I release. Remember to always like and comment below. You can find and follow me on Twitter here, and I'll see you next time for Cinnamon's Wake.
What's that?
Oh, that's mine.
That is chocolate covered
With a creamy caramel surprise.